Alright guys, so at 8:30 a.m. this morning we had PCE and the consumer spending reports. PCE year over year came in lower than expected at 2.1. We had core PCE which came in as expected at 0.01. And core PCE year over year came in lower than expected at 2.5. With that said, stock futures are mixed to slightly lower this morning, indicating a cautious start to trading. Investors are continuing to weigh developments in global trade and lingering uncertainty surrounding the US trade policies. So as you guys can see, trade tensions are still high, and President Trump's trade policies remain a significant focus. So yesterday, a federal appeals court temporarily reinstated some of Trump's tariffs, which initially boosted market sentiment. However, earlier today, Trump stated that China had violated a tariff agreement, causing stock futures to dip. Also, the Trump administration is reportedly considering using a provision of the Trade Act of 1974 to implement tariffs of up to 15% for 150 days as a plan B after previous court rulings. With that said, let's take a look at ticker symbol AMD as the stock is down over 2%. Looking at the daily chart, the stock seems to be consolidating between the 50-day and the 200-day moving averages. Now, as you guys can see, looking at this trend line, the stock is now being rejected for the third time. So overall, AMD stock is still in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows, with gap fills down to $87 per share. Now, once I create this lower trend line, you guys can now see that the stock is inside of a bullish falling wedge. If AMD can break this upper trend line, then I'm looking for a move to 133 and then to 185. Let's now take a look at the NASDAQ QQQ. So currently the NASDAQ is down over 0.25% as of this recording. With that said, the stock is still getting rejected at 520. So if it can't get above 520, then look for a pullback to 510. And below 510, your next support is going to be at 501. Overall, I'm looking for the NASDAQ to come back down to 453. So in terms of price action, the NASDAQ is still currently bullish as it's making higher highs and higher lows. Now, in terms of chart pattern, the stock is currently bearish as we're sitting inside of this rising wedge pattern. Something else to keep in mind is that the NASDAQ is currently overbought. So if you're buying big tech, I would be extremely cautious. With that said, looking at the NASDAQ, there's limited upside potential compared to the downside risks. So basically what I'm saying is that I would definitely wait for things to cool off. From current lows, the NASDAQ is almost up 30% with barely any pullback. So there's absolutely no reason to be chasing it at these high prices. Now, on the 1 minute time frame, the NASDAQ was a little bit overbought. So as the day continues, I want you guys to look for a run back up to 522. Let's now take a look at Apple. So currently Apple is trading just above support at 197. If Apple can stay above this zone, then I'm looking for a retest of 211. However, if it falls back below 197, then I'm looking for it to come down to 183. Overall, Apple stock is still in a downtrend, consolidating between 211 and 197. Now, according to this article, Apple sees small rebound in China's shipments as e-commerce platforms now offer discounts on new iPhone 16 models to stoke demand. Let's now take a look at Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. Currently, as of this recording, Tesla stock is now up over 1%, pushing towards resistance at 361. So in one of my previous videos, I stated that if Tesla could stay above 340, then look for a run to 361. So now that we're trading at 361, if Tesla could break above this level, then I'm looking for a run to 390. However, to the downside, I'm looking for Tesla stock to come back down to $300 per share, which is where the 50 and the 200-day moving averages are. So ever since we got that news about Elon returning back to Tesla, based on the charts, you can see that investors are very happy about that. Now, in terms of chart pattern, Tesla did break outside of this wedge, which should take us to 390. In terms of the RSI, you guys can see that we're currently overbought, so a rejection of this 361 resistance level is quite feasible. Let's now go ahead and take a look at ticker symbol NVDA, NVIDIA. So currently the stock is being rejected at my 139 resistance zone and is now down over 2%. Now, in one of my previous videos, I stated that if NVIDIA could stay above 132, then you guys should look for a run to 139. If you were taking notes, hopefully you made some money. So as you guys can see, my charting is very accurate, and all this information I'm giving to you guys is for free. All I ask is that you like and subscribe. Now, with NVIDIA getting rejected at 139, then look for a pull down to 132. And if it falls below 132, then look for a further pull down to 124. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.